When someone tells you in a moment of depression or a moment of sadness that you are going through in your life that life is not over yet, and that good, no matter how late it is, will come. When you hear this sentence from a friend or close person, never be pessimistic, because he may actually be right. Perhaps it is a difficult sentence to believe or believe in especially. If you are drowning in a sea of problems, troubles, worries and obstacles, sometimes misfortunes come to you in your life that make you wish you were never born. There are many stories of well-known personalities who were in one of the periods of their lives an insignificant person with no value, but their lives have been turned upside down. Among these figures is Robert Downey Jr. Robert John Downey Jr. Born on April 4, 1965 in Manhattan, New York, U.S. Downey and his older sister Allison grew up in Greenwich Village, and he was the youngest of his brothers. His father is Robert Downey and his mother is the Drivers. Downey was born into a cinematic environment. His father was an actor and filmmaker and his mother was also an actress who appeared in Downey S.R. films. In fact, the origins of the actor Downey are Jewish. His father is half a Jew from Lithuania, a quarter of a Hungarian Jew, and the other quarter from an Irish descent, and his mother is of Scottish, German and Swiss origins, meaning that his blood is a mixture of races, but it happened in the year 1978 that his parents separated. Since his childhood, the Don was surrounded by all kinds of drugs, as his father was addicted to drugs and drink. You can imagine that his father had given Downey a marijuana cigarette to try when he was 6 years old, that is, just a small child. You can imagine this scene after the passage of years. His father said many times that this incident was the worst thing he had ever done and he regretted it the most. Perhaps this incident was the key to the door to hell, as he became addicted to drugs over time. Imagine with me that it came to him with his belief in drugs that he was using drugs along with his father. Downey later said in one of the statements that drug use formed an emotional bond between him and his father, and he literally said, "When my father and I used drugs together, it was like trying to express his love for me in the only way he knew." After that, Downey didn't go through a day without taking drugs and drinking alcohol to the point where he was a drunk who stayed all night long. He makes endless phone calls looking for a drug dealer who will bring him a dose of cocaine, heroin or marijuana. This toxic environment should have created a devastated character lurching between prison and street life, but Downey's future held many surprises for him. During his childhood, Jr. was acting, but in films made by his father, and he played minor roles in these films. He made his acting debut at the age of 5. At the age of 10, he was living in England and studied classical ballet as part of a larger curriculum. When his parents divorced in 1978, Downey moved to California with his father, but in 1982 he dropped out of Santa School. Monica graduated from high school and returned to New York to pursue a full-time acting career. In the 1980s, Jr. or Downey began to transition from acting in minor roles to acting in major main roles on top of these films. The film Tova, which was released in the year 1985, and also the film Who was released in the year 1989, and the Chaplin film, which was released in the year 1992. And in the year of retaliation 94, he presented the movie Nashville Born Killer. It was known about Robin that he had always had an ambition to be an actor, and indeed he achieved this dream and became an actor. Which was issued in the year 1992. Everything was relatively beautiful, but only after a short period of time, Downey's reputation began to decline little by little in the artistic community between the year 1996 to the year 2001. Rumors circulated about Downey's severe drug addiction and excessive alcohol abuse. People were talking about his addiction or drug abuse more than they talked about his achievements, films and good acting. The worst news for him was that he stopped working in the artistic community and was expelled from many works of art. It was really difficult for him, psychologically difficult, for the producers and directors to reject him, even though he was a brilliant actor who used to spend the night thinking about this matter. Indeed, his life was heading towards the abyss from the year 1996 to the year 2001. The police arrested Robert several times, mostly for drug charges, and once for possession of a gun. Because of this bad news, he was making headlines whose bad side was drugs and problems as fertile material for TV shows. And headlines. In the year 1997 he was sentenced to 6 months in prison after violating parole by failing drug tests during his incarceration. He was assaulted many times by other prisoners. This period was among the worst in his life. Sometimes he would trust Downey with his blood covering his entire body in the dungeon. During his sentence, he had to work in the kitchen and wash dishes for 8 cents an hour. According to his statements, he says that terrible things happened to him in prison every day. One of the most bizarre incidents was that he was found drunk wandering into a neighbor's house. Because he missed drug tests several times, the court ordered Downey to be sentenced to 3 years in prison in 1999, but he only served 1 year in a substance abuse treatment facility and Corcoran State Prison. In the year 2001, during his parole, the International was found wandering barefoot in City, California, and was arrested on suspicion of being under the influence of either drugs or alcohol. This incident led to his being fired from his role on the TV show Mick, as well as being fired from other jobs in film and theater. But instead of sending him back to prison, it was decided that he should be rehabilitated. After Robert is released from prison, he was still addicted to drugs, he just couldn't get over it. He underwent several drug treatment programs, but nothing was working and he was close to bankruptcy. In the year 2003, it was the big and fateful turning point in Downey's life. He met actress Susan Levin, whom he wanted to marry, but she always refused because of his constant drug use and excessive drunkenness. And she explained to him the basic condition for marriage, which is that he quit drugs completely and in a dramatic way, he threw all the drugs into the ocean. Susan Downey once said that he stopped using drugs completely in 2003 after she gave him an ultimatum. Downey confirms that he has not taken any drugs since July 2003, and he credited his wife for helping him overcome the addiction that destroyed his life or almost destroyed him, in addition to his family's side, continuous treatment, spending long periods in meditation and practicing yoga, and also began practicing Kung Fu and martial arts, and learned from Eric Orange, who was Downey's personal fight coordinator in the movie Captain America. Steve Albom, Finn Jones, Witch Olsen. Not long after that, Downey received a full and unconditional pardon from California Governor Jerry Brown for his previous drug conviction. Now that the bottom door of the Junior League is gone, where do you think the whole world now knows him? Downey is now considered among the highest paid actors in the world. Most of the films in which Downey appears top the box office list, and all his films are now successful films, as if it were the magic formula for the success of any film that the audience attached to his personality and loved in particular. When Downey began to play the role of the iconic Ackerman or Iron Man, and after nearly 10 years he was in this role, where he appeared in the romantic movie Herman Three Finger Fantasy War, so we find that Kane and many other films regarding that these films are Marvel films, some of them tops the list of highest grossing films of all time.